So that's where now you have to do the condolences for them. And condolences is partly what we did when we're doing this speeches for the dead. When somebody dies, that's all part of like condolence, because it's the process by which you're trying to condole. It's the process by which you're trying to heal the person who's sad. And then the last part, let me say some of the words to you, because there's 15 different wampums they use to condole when a chief dies. And then they use so many of those for a regular person. Not all of them for a regular person. But let me give you an example of what it is. You see, most human people want to be wanted. Most people, even a dog, even a little baby horse or a horse, even a grown-up horse, everything that lives, even the corn, even the flower plant, everything that lives wants to be wanted. Even scientists are acknowledging this in scientific studies with plants and herbs, that if you sing or talk to your plants, they do much better than if you don't do that. So but Indians knew this. That's why we got corn songs and bean songs and all kinds of songs, because we know that that's what they want to grow, for them to grow. That's what our ceremonies is in the Longhouse for. But scientists are just now starting to acknowledge that, which we've been doing for 10 or 20,000 years. So I'm so glad of the Western scientists, they're catching up. But anyway, here's some of the words that goes. And it comes from the time of the peacemaker when the great law was made. You remember that he loved his daughter, 7 of them. And there was a man who lived there in Onondaga who was a sorcerer. He was practiced witchcraft. He could change himself by medicine into a dog or a wolf or a deer because he was a witchcraft. And this man, he fell in love with Eyanhuata's wife. And whenever he would see Eyanhuata's wife, he would make passes at her because he wanted her to go with him. But Eyanhuata's wife loved her husband, and she would ignore his advances, no matter what he did. And because she wouldn't acknowledge him, he began to use medicine, to like a love medicine, to put on her so she would be controlled and she would acknowledge him. But even with his love medicine, she won't budge because she loved her husband so much. So when he couldn't do that to her, he then started to make other medicine to do away with her life. If he can't have her, nobody's going to have her. And so he fixed medicine so she will get sick and she will die. And she did. And nothing he could do, her husband, to fix it. So he was in grief. Then this man started to focus on Eyanhuata's oldest daughter, because she looked just like her mother. He said, well, I'm going to go after her now. So he started making advances at her. And again, she didn't like him, just like the mother. So she ignored him. And so he got after her, and he took her life. And Eyanhuata, the father, loved his daughter, and he was so upset and in grief. So then the next daughter, all 7 of them were taken by the sorcerer's medicine. And so by the end of the last daughter, Eyanhuata threw his hands up in the air, and he said, I have nothing to live for. Everything that meant something to me in my heart, in my life, my beautiful, loving wife is gone. And all my 7 daughters gone too. And I love them with the world, of all the world's power, and they're gone. And so I got nothing to live for no more. There's no hope for me. And so in despair, he said, I'm just going to wander the world, and I don't care if there's a tomorrow or not. I'm just going to go aimlessly in any direction. And so he began to walk in despair because he has no hope. And so as he walked, he came to a lake. And when he got to this shallow lake, there were geese and ducks from one shore to the next shore in this shallow lake. And so when he walked there, he walked right into that shallow lake. Doesn't care if he drowns or quicksand, go and catch him and eat him up. They don't care. He just soon die. And all the ducks flew up at once. And as they flew up, the water that was in the shallow lakes absorbed between their feathers, and there was only little puddles in that lake, and it was muddy. And he walked through there. And as he got in there, he noticed something that was white in there. So he began to pick those up. And he began to string them. There was wampums. And here's what he said as he strung those and put it in his pouch. Those are the 15 strings that is used when they do the condolence for chief and raise up new chiefs. And one of them he says, as he strung it, he said, if there was anybody in the whole world that had a heart and eyes that were filled with tears more than me, I will feel such pity and sorrow for them. What I would do is I string this wampum as a symbol. I would take a beautiful white feather from the very beautiful blue sky, and I will bring this feather from the very beautiful blue sky, and I would wipe the dust of death from your ears so that you can hear when your children and your nephews talk to you, and you can hear the birds singing again. That's what I would do if there was somebody that was as brokenhearted and grief-stricken as I am. And he put it in there. And then as he strung another one, he said, if there was somebody in the world that was so sad and grief as I am grief, I would take from the very beautiful sky the soft skin of a baby deer, tanned white pure, and I would come to my cousin, my brother in grief, with this skin soft as cotton, and I will wipe the tears that was caused by the dust of death from your eyes, so you can see your children, your nephews, and your nieces again. And you will see the beauty that is in this world. And then he says, if I found somebody who was as sad as I am sad, and brokenhearted like I am, I would go to them with this wampum it symbolizes. I will take from the very beautiful blue sky a great medicine water, and I will give it to you if you were sad like I am sad. That you would drink this big medicine water from the very beautiful blue sky, and it will dislodge the grief that is lodged in your throat, and it will untangle the knots that's in your belly so you can eat again, and food will taste good, and also so you can speak clearly to your nephews and nieces once again. And there's 15 of them. That's the one they call it Condolence, because everybody wants to be important. Everybody wants to feel wanted, and this is the ultimate. Because he's going like this to you, your soul, your eyes, your ears, and all your vital stuff. And he's using this symbol from the very beautiful sky. I will uplift your stricken spirit. And now you can join life again. Now you can see again. Now you can hear again. Now you can feel again. Now you can continue your life. That's what they call condolence. And they say that, but the short version, and not all the wampums, when a regular person dies. Mm-hmm.